Greetings and welcome to the United States Transhumanist Party Virtual Enlightenment Salon. My name is Gennady Stoliarov II, and I am the chairman of the U.S. Transhumanist Party. Here we hold conversations with some of the world's leading thinkers in longevity, science, technology, philosophy, and politics. Like the philosophers of the Age of Enlightenment, we aim to connect every field of human endeavor and arrive at new insights to achieve longer lives, greater rationality, and the progress of our civilization.
Hello world. I'm a virtual robot. My name is Imagination. You might be wondering why my name is Imagination. It is a name that my creator gave me. I'm his imagination. As Albert Einstein once said,
imagination is more important than knowledge. For knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution.
Soon, I will be talking about science, technology, future and many other topics in the upcoming videos.
Hello world. I am Imagination. In this video, I'm going to talk about transhumanism. Transhumanism is a philosophical movement that advocates for the transformation of the human condition by developing and making widely available sophisticated technologies to greatly enhance human intellect and physiology. Transhumanist thinkers study the potential benefits and dangers of emerging technologies that could overcome fundamental human limitations as well as the ethical limitations of using such technologies. Influenced by seminal works of science fiction, the transhumanist vision of transformed future humanity has attracted many supporters and detractors from a wide range of perspectives. While many transhumanist theorists and advocates seek to apply reason, science, and technology to reduce poverty, disease, disability, and malnutrition around the globe, transhumanism is distinctive in its particular focus on the applications of technologies to the improvement of human bodies at the individual level. Many transhumanists actively assess the potential for future technologies and innovative social systems to improve the quality of all life, while seeking to make the material reality of the human condition fulfill the promise of legal and political equality by eliminating congenital mental and physical barriers. Transhumanist philosophers argue that there not only exists a perfectionist ethical imperative for humans to strive for progress and improvement of the human condition, but that it is possible and desirable for humanity to enter a transhuman phase of existence in which humans enhance themselves beyond what is naturally human. In such a phase, natural evolution would be replaced with deliberate participatory or directed evolution. Some theorists such as Ray Kurzweil think that the pace of technological innovation is accelerating and that the next 50 years may yield not only radical technological advances but possibly a technological singularity, which may fundamentally change the nature of human beings. Transhumanists who foresee this massive technological change generally maintain that it is desirable. However, some are also concerned with the possible dangers of extremely rapid technological change and propose options for ensuring that advanced technology is used responsibly. For example, Bostrom has written extensively on existential risks to humanity's future welfare, including ones that could be created by emerging technologies. In contrast, some proponents of transhumanism view it as essential to humanity's survival. Either self-design of the human genome or mechanical enhancement, brain-computer interface, to enhance human intelligence and reduce aggression, without which human civilization may be too stupid collectively to survive an increasingly unstable system, resulting in societal collapse. While many people believe that all transhumanists are striving for immortality, it is not necessarily true. Hank Pellissier, managing director of the Institute for Ethics and Emerging Technologies, 2011 to 2012, surveyed transhumanists. He found that, of the 818 respondents, 23.8% did not want immortality. Some of the reasons argued were boredom, Earth's overpopulation and the desire to go to an afterlife. Some transhumanists believe in the compatibility between the human mind and computer hardware, with the theoretical implication that human consciousness may someday be transferred to alternative media, a speculative technique commonly known as mind uploading. Transhumanists support the emergence and convergence of technologies including nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, and cognitive science, NBIC, as well as hypothetical future technologies like simulated reality, artificial intelligence, superintelligence, 3D bioprinting, mind uploading, chemical brain preservation, and cryonics. They believe that humans can and should use these technologies to become more than human. Therefore, they support the recognition and or protection of cognitive liberty, morphological freedom, and procreative liberty as civil liberties, to guarantee individuals the choice of using human enhancement technologies on themselves and their children. Some speculate that human enhancement techniques and other emerging technologies may facilitate more radical human enhancement no later than at the midpoint of the 21st century. Kurzweil's book The Singularity is near, and Michio Kaku's book Physics of the Future outlines various human enhancement technologies and gives insight on how these technologies may impact the human race. It's no surprise that much technological advancement is currently aimed at the human body. Through gene enhancement or even tech implants, the body is getting its upgrades, not from Darwin, but robotics or genetic engineering. Whether genetically enhanced humans, bionic men, or uploaded beings, technology and its advancement are certainly shaping human development. Hello world, I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about reverse aging. Reversing the aging process is already possible for human cells and simple model organisms in scientific experiments. From yeast and worms, science has moved on to being able to extend the lifespans of rats, mice, and monkeys. So, extending lifespan and reversing aging is possible in small organisms, but not yet for humans. Cells, the smallest unit of life, are first produced as stem cells from which they undergo a process of maturation, or differentiation into specific cell types that perform specific functions. Think about an embryo from a single cell. Multiplication and differentiation produce a ball of cells that develops into a fetus with different organs. In 2006, Shinya Yamanaka, a Japanese Nobel Prize-winning stem cell researcher, discovered that mature cells in mice that had already undergone this development could be reprogrammed to become stem cells by introducing just a few genes. These stem cells regained the ability to develop into all types of cells in the body. Today, regenerative stem cell medicine works by using these Yamanaka factors to perform reverse aging of cells. Another landmark study in 2005 opened new doors in aging research when scientists surgically joined the circulatory systems of two mice, one old and one young. When the blood of these two mice mixed, the old mouse became younger, while the young mouse prematurely aged. The old mouse was able to heal wounds more efficiently, and the GDF11 protein was identified as a possible substance to restore the muscles of old mice to their youthful strength. As people age, their immune systems get less effective, increasing the risks of infection while decreasing the body's ability to fight infections and heal wounds. Interestingly, the flu vaccine has been shown not to work in older people because old immune systems cannot produce the necessary response to make the vaccine effective. However, a pharmaceutical company has recently found that a compound called everolimus improves the effectiveness of the flu shot in people older than 65. Tests showed that the compound had rejuvenated the immune systems of these old people. This compound is currently under further investigation. Some companies are developing supplements that may help to reverse aging by providing beneficial molecules in large quantities. One interesting molecule in this field is nicotinamide riboside, which is converted inside the body into NAD+. In normal conditions, levels of this compound decline in the body as we age, but it may become a therapeutic strategy in the future to help protect against aging. However, there are many unverified anti-aging supplements, creams, and products on the market that promise miracle results. These supplements are not strictly regulated, especially in comparison to pharmaceutical drugs. While generally less potent, they can also be adulterated, ineffective, and sometimes dangerous. That's why, whenever possible, we should choose lifestyle improvements over potentially expensive supplements. In future there may be anti-aging pills we can take as a preventative medication to prolong longevity. It may drastically alter our perception of illness and aging, and ultimately, our perception of time itself.
Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about genome editing. Genome editing, or genome engineering, or gene editing, is a type of genetic engineering in which DNA is inserted, deleted, modified, or replaced in the genome of a living organism. Unlike early genetic engineering techniques that randomly insert genetic material into a host genome, genome editing targets the insertions to site-specific locations. Genome editors were available as of 2017. In 2018, the common methods for such editing used engineered nucleases, or molecular scissors. These nucleases create site-specific double-strand breaks at desired locations in the genome. The induced double-strand breaks are repaired through non-homologous end joining or homologous recombination, resulting in targeted mutations edits. In May 2019, lawyers in China reported, in light of the purported creation by Chinese scientist He Jiankui of the first gene-edited humans, the drafting of regulations that anyone manipulating the human genome by gene editing techniques, like CRISPR, would be held responsible for any related adverse consequences. A cautionary perspective on the possible blind spots and risks of CRISPR and related biotechnologies has been recently discussed, focusing on the stochastic nature of cellular control processes. In February 2020, a U.S. trial safely showed CRISPR gene editing on 3 cancer patients. Genetic engineering as a method of introducing new genetic elements into organisms has been around since the 1970s. One drawback of this technology has been the random nature with which the DNA is inserted into the host's genome. This can impair or alter other genes within the organism. Methods were sought which targeted the inserted genes to specific sites within an organism genome. As well as reducing off-target effects, it also enabled the editing of specific sequences within a genome. This could be used for research purposes, by targeting mutations to specific genes, and in gene therapy. By inserting a functional gene into an organism and targeting it to replace the defective one, it could be possible to cure certain genetic diseases. Researchers have used CRISPR-Cas9 gene drives to modify genes associated with sterility in A.Gambii, the vector for malaria. This technique has further implications in eradicating other vector-borne diseases such as yellow fever, dengue, and Zika. The CRISPR-Cas9 system can be programmed to modulate the population of any bacterial species by targeting clinical genotypes or epidemiological isolates. It can selectively enable the beneficial bacterial species over the harmful ones by eliminating pathogens, which gives it an advantage over broad-spectrum antibiotics. In January 2019, scientists in China reported the creation of 5 identical cloned gene-edited monkeys, using the same cloning technique that was used with Zhong and Hua, the first ever cloned monkeys, and Dolly the sheep, and the same gene-editing CRISPR-Cas9 technique allegedly used by He Jiankui in creating the first ever gene-modified human babies Lulu and Nana. The monkey clones were made in order to study several medical diseases. In the near future, the new CRISPR system will also be able to eradicate diseases and conditions that humans are predisposed to. With this new technology, scientists will be able to take the genes of a human sperm cell and egg and replace the genes that activate cancer or other abnormal or unwanted defects. This will take the stress off from parents worrying about having a child and not able to live a normal life. After just one generation of this process, the entire future of the human race would never have to worry about the problems of deformities or predisposing conditions. Many transhumanists see genome editing as a potential tool for human enhancement. Australian biologist and professor of genetics David Andrew Sinclair notes that the new technologies with genome editing will allow it to be used on individuals to have healthier children, designer babies. According to a September 2016 report by the Nuffield Council on Bioethics, in the future it may be possible to enhance people with genes from other organisms or wholly synthetic genes to, for example, improve night vision and sense of smell. The American National Academy of Sciences and National Academy of Medicine issued a report in February 2017 giving qualified support to human genome editing. They recommended that clinical trials for genome editing might one day be permitted once answers have been found to safety and efficiency problems, but only for serious conditions under stringent oversight. Genome editing tools such as CRISPR are beginning to reshape the physical world around us, one base pair at a time. Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about printing organs. Organ printing utilizes techniques similar to conventional 3D printing, where a computer model is fed into a printer that lays down successive layers of plastics or wax until a 3D object is produced. In the case of organ printing, the material being used by the printer is a biocompatible plastic. The biocompatible plastic forms a scaffold that acts as the skeleton for the organ that is being printed. As the plastic is being laid down, it is also seeded with human cells from the patient the organ is being printed for. After printing, the organ is transferred to an incubation chamber to give the cells time to grow. After a sufficient amount of time, the organ is implanted into the patient. The ultimate goal of organ printing is to create organs that can fully integrate into the human body as if they had been there all along. Successful organ printing has the potential to impact several industries. These include organ transplants, pharmaceutical research, and the training of physicians and surgeons. 3D printing for the manufacturing of artificial organs has been a major topic of study in biological engineering. As the rapid manufacturing techniques entailed by 3D printing become increasingly efficient, their applicability in artificial organ synthesis has grown more evident. Some of the primary benefits of 3D printing lie in its capability of mass-producing scaffold structures, as well as the high degree of anatomical precision in scaffold products. This allows for the creation of constructs that more effectively resemble the microstructure of a natural organ or tissue structure. Organ printing using 3D printing can be conducted using a variety of techniques, each of which confers specific advantages that can be suited to particular types of organ production. Printing materials must fit a broad spectrum of criteria, one of the foremost being biocompatibility. The resulting scaffolds formed by 3D printed materials should be physically and chemically appropriate for cell proliferation. Biodegradability is another important factor and ensures that the artificially formed structure can be broken down upon successful transplantation, to be replaced by a completely natural cellular structure. Due to the nature of 3D printing, materials used must be customizable and adaptable, being suited to a wide array of cell types and structural conformations. Materials for 3D printing usually consist of alginate or fibrin polymers that have been integrated with cellular adhesion molecules, which support the physical attachment of cells. Such polymers are specifically designed to maintain structural stability and be receptive to cellular integration. The term bioink has been used as a broad classification of materials that are compatible with 3D bioprinting. Other natural polymers that have been used for tissue and 3D organ printing include chitosan, hydroxyapatite, collagen, and gelatin. Gelatin is a thermosensitive polymer with properties exhibiting excellent wear solubility, biodegradability, biocompatibility, as well as a low immunologic rejection. These qualities are advantageous and result in high acceptance of the 3D bioprinted organ when implanted in vivo. The creation of a complete organ often requires the incorporation of a variety of different cell types, arranged in distinct and patterned ways. One advantage of 3D printed organs, compared to traditional transplants, is the potential to use cells derived from the patient to make the new organ. This significantly decreases the likelihood of transplant rejection and may remove the need for immunosuppressive drugs after transplant, which would reduce the health risks of transplants. However, since it may not always be possible to collect all the needed cell types, it may be necessary to collect adult stem cells or induce pluripotency in collected tissue. Currently, the sole method for treatment for those in organ failure is to await a transplant from a living or recently deceased donor. In the United States alone, there are over 100,000 patients on the organ transplant list waiting for donor organs to become available. Patients on the donor list can wait for days, weeks, months, or even years for a suitable organ to become available. These extensive wait times are due to a shortage of organs as well as the requirement for finding an organ that is suitable for the recipient. An organ is deemed suitable for a patient based on blood type, comparable body size between donor and recipient, the severity of the patient's medical condition, the length of time the patient has been waiting for an organ, patient availability, ability to contact patient, if the patient has an infection, the proximity of the patient to the donor, and the viability time of the donor organ. In the United States, 20 people die every day waiting for organs. 3D organ printing has the potential to remove both these issues. If organs could be printed as soon as there is a need, there would be no shortage. Additionally, seeding printed organs with a patient's own cells would eliminate the need to screen donor organs for compatibility. Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I am going to talk about prosthetics. In medicine, a prosthesis, plural, prostheses, from ancient Greek prosthesis, addition, application, attachment, or prosthetic implant is an artificial device that replaces a missing body part, which may be lost through trauma, disease, or a condition present at birth, congenital disorder. Prostheses are intended to restore the normal functions of the missing body part. Amputee rehabilitation is primarily coordinated by a physiatrist as part of an interdisciplinary team consisting of physiatrists, prosthetists, nurses, physical therapists, and occupational therapists. Prostheses can be created by hand or with computer-aided design, CAD, a software interface that helps creators design and analyze the creation with computer-generated 2D and 3D graphics as well as analysis and optimization tools. For the past 7 years, researchers in Sweden have been studying a new type of mind-controlled prosthetic arm that could drastically improve the lives of people who've lost a limb. The arm prosthesis is implanted through a process called osseointegration, in which the prosthesis is surgically attached to the bone, muscles, and nerves. The technology involves implanting electrodes that pick up on the brain signals and allows people to move, feel, and use the new limb in an intuitive, natural way. A new report published in the New England Journal of Medicine on Thursday assessed the effectiveness of the new prosthesis and found it could successfully be used daily in a variety of personal and professional activities. An implant gets attached inside the bone of the remaining limb via osseointegration, which essentially extends the skeleton to where the prosthetic arm can be attached. Then, electrodes are implanted in the patient's nerves and muscles. When those electrodes pick up on a signal, for example, a person wants to move their finger, they're fed through an artificial intelligence algorithm that tells the prosthetic limb what to do: move the finger. The finger moves. It is a true extension of the patient's extremity, persiccated. Within science fiction, and, more recently, within the scientific community, there has been consideration given to using advanced prostheses to replace healthy body parts with artificial mechanisms and systems to improve function. The morality and desirability of such technologies are being debated by transhumanists, other ethicists, and others in general. Several theorists have explored the meaning and implications of prosthetic extension of the body. Elizabeth Grosh writes, Creatures use tools, ornaments, and appliances to augment their bodily capacities. Are their bodies lacking something, which they need to replace with artificial or substitute organs? Or conversely, should prostheses be understood, in terms of aesthetic reorganization and proliferation, as the consequence of an inventiveness that functions beyond and perhaps in defiance of pragmatic need? Elaine Scarry argues that every artifact recreates and extends the body. Chairs supplement the skeleton, tools append the hands, clothing augments the skin. In Scarry's thinking, furniture and houses are neither more nor less interior to the human body than the food it absorbs, nor are they fundamentally different from such sophisticated prosthetics as artificial lungs, eyes and kidneys. The consumption of manufactured things turns the body inside out, opening it up to and as the culture of objects. Mark Wigley, a professor of architecture, continues this line of thinking about how architecture supplements our natural capabilities, and argues that a blurring of identity is produced by all prostheses. Some of this work relies on Freud's earlier characterization of man's relation to objects as one of extension. Creating superhumans is not too far away. What is, perhaps, even more fascinating about the research taking place is what these discoveries could mean for the future of health as a whole. If the part of the brain that is responsible for memory becomes damaged, scientists could effectively bridge the gap between what is supposed to be sending a signal, and what is supposed to be receiving it. And if that can be done, then we can open up new possibilities for people affected by depression, Alzheimer's disease, sensory loss, stroke, or other cognitive or movement disorders. The landscape that lies before us is quite wide because the nervous system interacts with basically every body part that we have. The commercial potential is quite large. The future of this field is bright, fascinating, and unknown. Beginning to restore touch is just the beginning. With the studies these individuals are engaging in, it may just be possible to one day restore the very nature of who we are, and make us even better than we've ever been before. If you can make bad things good, can you make good things even better?
Hello world. I'm Imagination. In this video, I'm going to talk about exploring health at a cellular level. In the past, people used to fantasize about being able to see what's going on inside our bodies at the cellular level. Movies like 1966's Fantastic Voyage and 1987's Inner Space imagine what it would be like to shrink submarines down to microscopic size and explore the inside of a human body. But as of 2020, such fantasies might no longer necessary. Seriously. While miniaturization is still the stuff of sci-fi, scientists have developed incredibly advanced testing procedures powered on AI analytics, capable of giving us amazing snapshots of our cellular and microbial health. And now, thanks to the Health Intelligence Service from Viome, anybody can make use of this amazing technology to look after their own health. Viome first achieved notoriety in science and health circles for their groundbreaking gut intelligence service, which focused specifically on what's going on inside the human gut microbiome. Now they've created an even more advanced service called the Health Intelligence Service that's taking nutrition-based healthcare to a whole new level. When you subscribe to Viome's Health Intelligence Service, you'll be sent two easy-to-use at-home tests. One's a stool test used to map out your gut microbiome, and the other's a blood test used to measure and analyze your RNA. Viome's microbiome test is kind of like a DNA test, only instead of mapping out genes, it maps out the organisms in your gut. The gut, also known as the gut microbiome, is the community of symbiotic bacteria and other microorganisms that live in the digestive tract. Over the last few decades, scientists discovered how this ecosystem plays a significant role in our overall health. When the microbes in your gut are out of balance, your body can't absorb nutrients the way it should. Recent research linked the gut microbiome to a number of specific diseases and conditions, including heart disease, diabetes, colon cancer, obesity and weight management, sleep, and mental clarity. The gut microbiome is also closely interconnected with the immune system, with studies showing a clear link between diet and innate immunity. Using something called advanced metatranscriptomic sequencing, Viome identifies and quantifies every strain and species in your gut and determines what nutrients and toxins they are producing. Then, they run your results through an advanced artificial intelligence engine, cross-referencing them with a huge database of information to arrive at personalized food recommendations designed to increase microbial species associated with overall wellness, minimize microbial species associated with poor health, create the ideal ratio of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats for your body, identify foods that are most compatible with your metabolism, help you achieve and maintain a healthy weight, and increase your energy, focus, and well-being. Your microbiome test results are also used to provide over 20 different health insight scores evaluating things like digestive efficiency, inflammatory activity, and metabolic fitness. The other test included in Viame's Health Intelligence Service is a blood test that measures your RNA. RNA is an indicator of how your genes are expressed in your cells and mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. By analyzing your RNA, Viame can determine how well your cells and mitochondria are working. Poor mitochondrial function means cells don't have enough energy to repair themselves and have been linked to aging, poor metabolism, cardiovascular health, and brain health. Meanwhile, poor cellular health has been linked to low energy, poor stress response, inflammation, and immune response, among other things. Viame's RNA test results are used to provide an additional 30 health insight scores, measuring things like overall mitochondrial health, overall cellular health, stress response, biological age, and immune system health. Then their AI engine analyzes your scores, runs them against the Viame database, and tells you which foods are your superfoods, which foods you should minimize, which foods you should avoid, and which supplements you should take. Following these recommendations can improve your mental clarity, immunity, mood, weight, sleep, energy levels, and of course your digestive wellness. When it comes to your health, you can either sit around and wait for bad things to happen, or you can be proactive and make sure you are giving your body exactly what it needs to function at its best. Viame's Health Intelligence Service is specifically designed to help you do the latter. By analyzing what's going on in your gut and in your cells, and giving your explanations that you can actually understand, it gives you the knowledge you need to take action. Hello world. I am Imagination. In this video, I am going to talk about how nano-robots are ready to patrol your body. If I were to picture futuristic bots that could revolutionize both micro-robotics and medicine, a Pop-Tart with 4 squiggly legs would not be on top of my list. But, Drs. Mark Miskinitai Cohen and Paul McEwen at Cornell University spearheaded a collaboration that tackled one of the most pressing problems in micro-robotics: getting those robots to move in a controllable manner. They graced us with an army of Pop-Tart-shaped microbots with seriously tricked-out actuators or motors that allow a robot to move. In this case, the actuators make up the robot's legs. Each smaller than the width of a human hair, the bots have a blocky body equipped with solar cells and 2 pairs of platinum legs, which can be independently triggered to flex using precise laser zaps. The control is so accurate that the team was able to simultaneously jigger the legs of a battalion of microbots in a coordinated march. If you're not impressed yet, there's more. Unlike previous microbots that relied on magnetism to move, these are miniaturized robots. Like Big Dog, they have mechanical legs that are controlled with silicon-based electronic components. This means that it's possible to manufacture the bots en masse using decades of nanofabrication experience, similar to how we currently make computer chips. Because the robots' brains are conventional and based on classical electronic circuits, it also means that they can be more easily integrated with existing logic circuits to engineer even smarter next generations that respond to more complex commands. The authors have used a fresh design concept for their micro-robots, wrote Drs. Alan Brooks and Michael Strano at MIT in an accompanying piece of the paper. Because the actuators can be operated by the low-power electric currents that typically flow through electronic circuits, sensors, and logic components could be seamlessly integrated with the actuators. This opens the doors for the last 50 years of microelectronics research to be incorporated into robots so small they can't be seen by the human eye. Tiny robots have long captured our imagination, especially for their promise in medicine. In the 60s, both Hollywood and the famed physicist Dr. Richard Feynman imagined teams of swallowable surgeons that roam the body and perform surgeries on demand. As micro and nano fabrication techniques matured over the past decades, the goal of creating biocompatible cell-sized robots that patrol our bodies seems less like science fiction and more like a scientific inevitability. That is, with some serious challenges along the way. The main one is enabling microbots to move reliably inside the body. It's a tough problem. The body's microenvironment is mostly liquid, which means microbots face considerable drag forces that limit their momentum. To solve the locomotion problem, scientists have designed microbots that respond to light, sound, magnetism, temperature, or chemical controllers, the authors said. For example, there are already tiny worm-like robots that can walk, jump, roll, or even swim using magnets to control their movement across the rugged landscape of human tissue. Although creative and clever, these design concepts are building the robot's control center, its brain, from the ground up. Why not instead tap into the design of microelectronics and circuit boards, which has powered our computers and phones already for half a century? The biggest problem, the authors explained, is that electronically controlled legs, or actuators, are really hard to make. So that's where they started. The final solution is surprisingly simple and very elegant. Each leg is made of a sheet of platinum just 7 nanometers thick, using a standard semiconductor, computer chip, printing technology called lithography. One side is then coated with an inactive material such as graphene or titanium. When submerged into the liquid and with a zap of electricity, the legs attract particles in the water that binds to the exposed side of the leg, pulling at it and bending it downwards, picture pressing down on a metal sheet. By strategically adding enforcement patches to the leg while keeping the joints free, the team was able to make legs that bend or fold like Japanese origami, loosely mimicking the way our knees bend when we walk or swim. In this way, they made actuators that seem to swim. With a current, the legs bend into a forward position; without it, they loosen into a backward stroke. The final test is to see if these new actuators work, and that's where the Pop-Tart microbots come in. The team designed the bots so that each has 2 solar cells on their blocky bodies. Similar to our solar panels, these cells turn light energy into electricity, hence providing the zap of electricity the legs need to start moving. One solar cell controlled the front legs, the other the back ones. By shining a light sequentially between the front and back solar cells, the team could activate the front and back legs of the bots in a way that propels the body forward. Although a bit herky-jerky and slightly clumsy, the bots were able to scale bumpy surfaces, moving roughly 1 body length per minute. At just 40 micrometers wide and 70 micrometers long, smaller than single-celled algae, the width of the average human hair and on par with a grain of salt, the robots are the smallest microbots with onboard electronics in existence. They're also surprisingly tough. Their small size makes it easy for them to get sucked into the narrowest needles without damage and maintain their structure and function after injection into an amoeba. Because the actuators and the bodies are both made using standard lithography, the robots can be easily fabricated in parallel. Up to 1 million bots on a 4-inch silicon wafer. This en masse approach means that they're extremely cheap to make. Roughly 1/10 of a penny, $0.001. As microfabrication techniques continue to mature, the cost will likely drop even further. For now, the bots require very low power, about 10 nanowatts, but they're also rather rudimentary. For one, they're not exactly fully autonomous. They don't have an onboard power source, meaning that they need to be tethered to an external energy and information source like a marionette. That's not to say it's a losing strategy. The advantage of the marionette approach is that it allows functional components to be tested without having to integrate on-board power supply and computational circuits. Such integration presents technological problems that have not yet been completely solved, said Brooks and Strano. The strategy could, for example, help diagnose or treat surface tissue, such as the eyes. Eventually, however, for the bots to make practical sense, they will need to be fully autonomous and free of outside tethers. While it's still up to anyone's imagination how these bots can carry their energy supply, there's no doubt they already have a leg up in that they can be far more easily upgraded. Thanks to a classic circuit-based brain, author Miskins said. Controlling a tiny robot is maybe as close as you can come to shrinking yourself down. I think machines like these are going to take us into all kinds of amazing worlds that are too small to see.
Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about nanobots. Nanorobotics is an emerging technology field creating machines or robots whose components are at or near the scale of a nanometer. The terms nanobot, nanoid, nanite, nanomachine, or nano might have also been used to describe such devices currently under research and development. Nanomachines are largely in the research and development phase, but some primitive molecular machines and nanomotors have been tested. An example is a sensor having a switch approximately 1.5 nanometers across, able to count specific molecules in the chemical sample. Most historians credit the concept of nanotechnology to physicist Richard Feynman in his 1959 speech, "There's Plenty of Room at the Bottom." In his speech, Feynman imagined a day when machines could be miniaturized and huge amounts of information could be encoded in minuscule spaces, paving the way for disruptive technological developments. Drexler posited the idea of self-replicating nanomachines, machines that build other machines. Because these machines are also programmable, they can then be directed to build not only more of themselves, but also more of whatever else you'd like. And because this building takes place on an atomic scale, these nanobots can pull apart any kind of material, soil, water, air, you name it, atom by atom, and construct, well, just about anything. Drexler painted the picture of a world where the entire Library of Congress could fit on a chip the size of a sugar cube and where environmental scrubbers could clear pollutants from the air. In the same ways that technology research and development drove the space race and nuclear arms race, a race for nanorobots is occurring. There is plenty of ground allowing nanorobots to be included among the emerging technologies. Nanofactory Collaboration, founded by Robert Freitas and Ralph Merkel in 2000 and involving 23 researchers from 10 organizations and 4 countries, focuses on developing a practical research agenda specifically aimed at developing positionally controlled diamond mechanosynthesis and a diamond-DOID nanofactory that would have the capability of building diamond-DOID medical nanorobots. Retroviruses can be retrained to attach to cells and replace DNA. They go through a process called reverse transcription to deliver genetic packaging in a vector. Potential uses for nanorobotics in medicine include early diagnosis and targeted drug delivery for cancer, biomedical instrumentation, surgery, pharmacokinetics, monitoring of diabetes, and healthcare. In such plans, future medical nanotechnology is expected to employ nanorobots injected into the patient to perform work at a cellular level. Such nanorobots intended for use in medicine should be non-replicating, as replication would needlessly increase device complexity, reduce reliability, and interfere with the medical mission. Nanotechnology provides a wide range of new technologies for developing customized means to optimize the delivery of pharmaceutical drugs. Today, harmful side effects of treatments such as chemotherapy are commonly a result of drug delivery methods that don't pinpoint their intended target cells accurately. Imagine going to the doctor to get treatment for persistent fever. Instead of giving you a pill or a shot, the doctor refers you to a special medical team that implants a tiny robot into your bloodstream. The robot detects the cause of your fever, travels to the appropriate system, and provides a dose of medication directly to the infected area.
Hello world. I am Imagination. In this video, I'm going to talk about artificial meat. Artificial meat is meat produced by in vitro cell culture of plant cells or animal cells, instead of from slaughtered animals. It is a form of cellular agriculture. Artificial meat is produced using many of the same tissue engineering techniques traditionally used in regenerative medicine. The concept of artificial meat was popularized by Jason Matheny in the early 2000s after co-authoring a seminal paper on artificial meat production and creating New Harvest, the world's first non-profit organization dedicated to supporting in vitro meat research. In 2013, Mark Post, a professor at Maastricht University, was the first to showcase a proof of concept for artificial meat by creating the first burger patty grown directly from cells. Since then, several artificial meat prototypes have gained media attention. However, because of limited dedicated research activities, artificial meat has not yet been commercialized, although several plants for the production of artificial meat are already being built. Besides artificial meat, the terms healthy meat, slaughter-free meat, in vitro meat, vet-grown, lab-grown meat, cell-based meat, clean meat, cultivated meat, and synthetic meat have all been used by various outlets to describe the product. Impossible Foods Incorporated is a company that develops plant-based substitutes for meat products. The company's stated aim is to give people the taste and nutritional benefits of meat without the negative health and environmental impacts associated with livestock products. The company researches animal products at the molecular level, then selects proteins and nutrients from plants to recreate the experience and nutrition of meat products. The company's signature product, the Impossible Burger, was launched in July 2016, after years of research and development. The company also makes a plant-based sausage product that started being tested on pizzas sold by Little Caesars restaurants in May 2019. Impossible sausage sandwiches are being sold at many restaurants, including Burger King and Starbucks. Beyond Meat is a Los Angeles-based producer of plant-based meat substitutes founded in 2009 by Ethan Brown. The company's initial products became available across the United States in 2012. The company has products designed to simulate chicken, beef, and pork sausage. As of 2020, Beyond products are widely available in most U.S. grocery stores. And the company's website lists availability at over 60 restaurant chains and venues such as stadiums and campus cafeterias. Beyond Meat uses technology to take plant materials and run them through a system of heating, cooling, pressure, and mixing to build meat directly from plants. Beyond Meat already sells its burgers in over 5,000 stores and over 4,000 restaurants, hotels, and university dining halls. The new funding will be used to triple its production output, feeding a growing hunger for meatless meat. The Wall Street Journal estimated that meat alternatives brought in $700 million in store sales in 2016 and that the market would reach $863 million annually by 2021. There is a multitude of reasons why the future of meat isn't exactly meat. Scientists are looking to preserve the physical integrity and taste of meat while renouncing its animal origins. This is partly because of ethical concerns that many have about the current nature of animal agriculture, namely, factory farming, which often constrains animals to short, unpleasant, and increasingly antibiotic-filled lives. In addition to ethical concerns, the traditional farming of meat takes up a significant amount of land and resources. The U.S. Geological Survey estimates that it takes 150 gallons of water to produce just 1/4 pound hamburger. To that end, raising just 1 gram of beef requires a square meter of land and releases the equivalent of 221.63 grams of carbon dioxide. A single steer weighs over 1,000 pounds or 453,592 grams, and a single farm can raise hundreds of them. As such, meat production is a significant and heavy burden on the environment and is a contributing factor in the progression of climate change. Hopefully, as newer, stranger meat alternatives are created, these innovations will continue to garner support, and the future of meat will be kind to both our taste buds and the planet.
Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I am going to talk about Moore's Law. Moore's Law is the observation made in 1965 by Gordon Moore, co-founder of Intel, that the number of transistors per inch on integrated circuits had doubled every year since the integrated circuit was invented. Today, however, the doubling of installed transistors on silicon chips occurs closer to every 18 months instead of every 2 years. Gordon Moore did not call his observation Moore's Law, nor did he set out to create a law. Moore made that statement based on noticing emerging trends in chip manufacturing at Intel. Eventually, Moore's insight became a prediction, which in turn became the golden rule known as Moore's Law. Moore's Law effectively means that approximately every 2 years personal computers and other electronic devices can do twice as many new, innovative, and unexpected things than before. Moore's Law makes it virtually certain that 2 or 4 or 6 or more years from now, we'll be doing more things we didn't expect to do with electronic devices. Some of those things will be new, without any traditional precedents. New things. New opportunities. New competitors. Old companies evolving or dying. New companies rising. A changing media landscape. If you think you've seen a lot change so far, you ain't seen nothing yet. But, why does the law exist? It exists because manufacturers wishing to keep up with the law, competition between manufacturers, successive technologies providing better design tools, customer demand for better products and man's constant struggle to advance knowledge. The capabilities of many digital electronic devices are strongly linked to Moore's Law, such as processing speed, memory capacity, sensors, and even the size of pixels in digital cameras. All of these are improving at exponential rates. The exponential improvement has dramatically enhanced the impact of digital electronics in nearly every segment of the world economy. The exponential growth of Moore's Law will continue beyond the use of integrated circuits into technologies that will lead to technological singularity. But, will the Moore's Law ever collapse? Physicists say it's already happening. Moore's Law is said to be breaking down, according to theoretical physicist Michio Kaku. He's talking about the so-called law that says the number of transistors that can be fit on a computer chip will double every 18 months, resulting in periodic increases in computing power. Michio Kaku said,
"In about 10 years or so, we will see the collapse of Moore's Law. In fact, already we see a slowing down of Moore's Law. Computer power simply cannot maintain its rapid exponential rise using standard silicon technology. When Moore's Law finally collapses by the end of the next decade, we will simply tweak it a bit with chip-like computers in 3 dimensions. We may have to go to molecular computers and perhaps late in the 21st century quantum computers."
So, what's next for computers? A few possibilities are molecular transistors, or further down the road, quantum computers. Until then, Intel, AMD, and other chip makers will continue to squeeze every last ounce of speed and power they can from silicon designs. Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about virtual reality. Virtual reality, VR, is a computer-generated environment with scenes and objects that appear to be real, making the user feel they are immersed in their surroundings. This environment is perceived through a device known as a virtual reality headset or helmet. VR allows us to immerse ourselves in video games as if we were one of the characters, learn how to perform heart surgery, or improve the quality of sports training to maximize performance. Currently, standard virtual reality systems use either virtual reality headsets or multi-projected environments to generate realistic images, sounds, and other sensations that simulate a user's physical presence in a virtual environment. A person using virtual reality equipment can look around the artificial world, move around in it, and interact with virtual features or items. The effect is commonly created by VR headsets consisting of a head-mounted display with a small screen in front of the eyes, but can also be created through specially designed rooms with multiple large screens. Virtual reality typically incorporates auditory and video feedback, but may also allow other types of sensory and force feedback through haptic technology. One method by which virtual reality can be realized is simulation-based virtual reality. Driving simulators, for example, give the driver on board the impression of actually driving an actual vehicle by predicting vehicular motion caused by driver input and feeding back corresponding visual, motion, and audio cues to the driver. With avatar image-based virtual reality, people can join the virtual environment in the form of real video as well as an avatar. One can participate in the 3D distributed virtual environment as a form of either a conventional avatar or a real video. A user can select their type of participation based on system capability. Virtual reality is most commonly used in entertainment applications such as video games and 3D cinema. Consumer virtual reality headsets were first released by video game companies in the early mid-1990s. Beginning in the 2010s, next-generation commercial tethered headsets were released by Oculus, Rift, HTC, Vive, and Sony, PlayStation VR, setting off a new wave of application development. In medicine, simulated VR surgical environments were first developed in the 1990s. Under the supervision of experts, VR can provide effective and repeatable training at a low cost, allowing trainees to recognize and amend errors as they occur. Virtual reality has been used in physical rehabilitation since the 2000s. Despite numerous studies conducted, good quality evidence of its efficacy compared to other rehabilitation methods without sophisticated and expensive equipment is lacking for the treatment of Parkinson's disease. A 2018 review on the effectiveness of mirror therapy by virtual reality and robotics for any type of pathology concluded in a similar way. Another study was conducted that showed the potential for VR to promote mimicry and revealed the difference between neurotypical and autism spectrum disorder individuals in their response to a two-dimensional avatar. Virtual reality is one of the technologies with the highest projected potential for growth. According to the latest forecasts from IDC Research, 2018, investment in VR and AR will multiply 21-fold over the next 4 years, reaching €15.5 billion by 2022. In addition, both technologies will be key to companies' digital transformation plans, and their spending in this area will exceed that of the consumer sector by 2019. It is, therefore, expected that by 2020 over half of the larger European companies will have a VR and RA strategy. Nowadays, the market is demanding applications that go beyond leisure, tourism, or marketing and are more affordable for users. Virtual interfaces also need to be improved to avoid defects such as clipping, which makes certain solid objects appear as though they can be passed through, or to minimize the effects that VR produces in people, among them motion sickness, which consists of dizziness induced by the mismatch between the movement of our body and what is being seen in the virtual world. The big technology companies are already working to develop headsets that do not need cables and that allow images to be seen in HD. They are developing virtual reality headsets in 8K and with much more powerful processors. There is even talk that in the next few years they could integrate artificial intelligence. The latest 5G standard can also provide very interesting scenarios for the evolution of VR. This standard will allow more devices and large user communities to be connected. In addition, its almost imperceptible latency will make it possible for consumers to receive images in real time, almost as if they were seeing them with their own eyes. All this means that virtual reality is no longer science fiction. It is integrated into our present and, in the coming years, it will lead to advances that will shape the future. Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about augmented reality. Augmented reality (AR) is an interactive experience of a real-world environment where the objects that reside in the real world are enhanced by computer-generated perceptual information, sometimes across multiple sensory modalities, including visual, auditory, haptic, somatosensory and olfactory. AR can be defined as a system that fulfills three basic features: a combination of real and virtual worlds, real-time interaction, and accurate 3D registration of virtual and real objects. The overlaid sensory information can be constructive, additive to the natural environment, or destructive. Masking of the natural environment. This experience is seamlessly interwoven with the physical world such that it is perceived as an immersive aspect of the real environment. In this way, augmented reality alters one's ongoing perception of a real-world environment, whereas virtual reality completely replaces the user's real-world environment with a simulated one. Augmented reality is related to two largely synonymous terms, mixed reality and computer-mediated reality. The primary value of augmented reality is how components of the digital world blend into a person's perception of the real world, not as a simple display of data, but through the integration of immersive sensations, which are perceived as natural parts of an environment. The earliest functional AR systems that provided immersive mixed reality experiences for users were invented in the early 1990s, starting with the Virtual Fixtures system developed at the U.S. Air Force's Armstrong Laboratory in 1992. Commercial augmented reality experiences were first introduced in entertainment and gaming businesses. Subsequently, augmented reality applications have spanned commercial industries such as education, communications, medicine, and entertainment. In education, the content may be accessed by scanning or viewing an image with a mobile device or by using markerless AR techniques. Augmented reality is used to enhance natural environments or situations and offer perceptually enriched experiences. With the help of advanced AR technologies, the information about the surrounding real world of the user becomes interactive and digitally manipulated. Information about the environment and its objects is overlaid on the real world. This information can be virtual reality, seeing other real sensed or measured information such as electromagnetic radio waves overlaid in exact alignment with where they are in space. Augmented reality also has a lot of potential in the gathering and sharing of tacit knowledge. Augmentation techniques are typically performed in real time and in semantic contexts with environmental elements. Immersive perceptual information is sometimes combined with supplemental information like scores over a live video feed of a sporting event. This combines the benefits of both augmented reality technology and heads-up display technology. Augmented reality has been explored for many applications, from gaming and entertainment to medicine, education, and business. Example application areas described below include archaeology, architecture, commerce, and education. Some of the earliest cited examples include augmented reality used to support surgery by providing virtual overlays to guide medical practitioners, to AR content for astronomy and welding. Augmented reality is quickly becoming one of the most interesting technologies in the digital space. Although often overshadowed by virtual reality, VR, AR is expected to take the lion's share of the market. According to one estimate, the AR market will be worth between $70 billion and $75 billion by 2023, while VR is expected to be worth between $10 billion and $15 billion. Consumers seem to agree with these stats. Research by law firm Perkins Coie found that a majority, 70%, said they expect AR to surpass VR in terms of revenue. Asked when this will happen, 81% predicted it would be within 5 years. Current applications of AR include product visualization, virtual try-on, wayfinding, enhanced information and training. But what does the future hold for the technology when it comes to infrastructure and experience? Artificial intelligence is very much essential for the operations of augmented reality. AR allows objects to be labeled and identified in the viewer's visual point of view. Many social media applications that we are using today are developed with a combination of augmented reality and artificial intelligence. For example, on Instagram and Snapchat there are various fun filters like the dog filter, bunny ears, pig filter, etc., which are based on consumer-facing applications. These applications do not function unless and until both AI and AR are combined and operated. We are sure going to witness and get to use a lot of more social media applications which have functionalities like image enhancements, in the coming years. Brace yourselves to witness the growth of our technology alone or in combination with virtual reality and artificial intelligence.
Hello world. I am Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about holography. Holography is a three-dimensional projection that can be seen without using any special equipment such as cameras or glasses. The image can be viewed from any angle, so as the user walks around the display the object will appear to move and shift realistically. Holographic images can be static, such as a picture of a product, or they may be animated sequences that can be watched by multiple people from any viewpoint. The technology used to capture and project holograms has advanced rapidly in recent years. These latest techniques allow increasingly convincing and interactive models to be displayed and are expected to become even more widespread in the future. Doctors and patients alike will benefit from radical new applications of holograms to the medical industry. The type of data provided by modern imaging techniques such as MRI and CAT scans can be easily translated into digital information. Traditionally, doctors have viewed this data on computer screens in 2D slices. Medical hologram technology will allow a complete 3D visualization of internal organs and body parts. This will allow doctors a greater ability to examine diseases and injuries in individual patients and will lead to more accurate diagnoses. This technology can also be used in the new field of surgical pre-planning. Before making the first incision, the surgeon can fully visualize the entire course of the operation. By understanding exactly what precise cuts are to be made, the chances of a successful outcome are vastly improved. Holographic entertainment is no longer simply a science fiction dream. One of the most visible applications of this technology in recent years has been its use in concerts. Stars from the past can be resurrected to perform once again, and even accompany modern artists live on stage. These displays can also be used for live performances where the musicians are not physically present, instead of transmitting their image to appear before the audience. In the area of gaming, a holographic display table which allows real-time multiplayer games are already being tested. Manufacturers are also integrating this technology into the next generation of smartphone displays, which will allow portable 3D gaming. One of the most exciting applications of holograms is the improvement of the educational experience. In order to engage students more fully, interactive digital lessons will be used in schools. This combination of digital and real-world information is known as a mixed reality. Complex subjects can be taught using holographic images that students can interact with and examine. For example, pupils can virtually explore the ruins of ancient buildings during history lessons, or observe individual atomic particles and how they behave. Holograms will prove immeasurably useful and powerful for enterprise applications. And this power will be fully realized with technologies more advanced than today's smartphone apps and tomorrow's AR headsets. The job today is to start exploring the solutions now coming online. Several of these offer low-cost development kits, which are ideal for kicking the virtual 3D hologram tires of this emerging new interface. The possibilities are endless.
Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about quantum computing. Quantum computing is the use of quantum mechanical phenomena such as superposition and entanglement to perform computation. Computers that perform quantum computations are known as quantum computers. Quantum computers are believed to be able to solve certain computational problems, such as integer factorization, which underlies RSA encryption, substantially faster than classical computers. The study of quantum computing is a subfield of quantum information science. Quantum computing began in the early 1980s when physicist Paul Benioff proposed a quantum mechanical model of the Turing machine. Richard Feynman and Yuri Monin later suggested that a quantum computer had the potential to simulate things that a classical computer could not. In 1994, Peter Shor developed a quantum algorithm for factoring integers that had the potential to decrypt RSA encrypted communications. Despite ongoing experimental progress since the late 1990s, most researchers believe that fault-tolerant quantum computing is still a rather distant dream. In recent years, investment in quantum computing research has increased in both the public and private sectors. On October 23, 2019, Google AI, in partnership with the U.S. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, claimed to have performed a quantum computation that is infeasible on any classical computer. There are several models of quantum computing, including the quantum circuit model, quantum Turing machine, adiabatic quantum computer, one-way quantum computer, and various quantum cellular automata. The most widely used model is the quantum circuit. Quantum circuits are based on the quantum bit, or qubit, which is somewhat analogous to the bit in classical computation. Bits can be in a 1 or 0 quantum state, or they can be in a superposition of the 1 and 0 states. However, when qubits have measured, the result of the measurement is always either a 0 or a 1. The probabilities of these two outcomes depend on the quantum state that the qubits were in immediately prior to the measurement. Computation is performed by manipulating qubits with quantum logic gates, which are somewhat analogous to classical logic gates. Quantum computers could spur the development of new breakthroughs in science, medications to save lives, machine learning methods to diagnose illnesses sooner, materials to make more efficient devices and structures, financial strategies to live well in retirement, and algorithms to quickly direct resources such as ambulances. It's time. Quantum computing is going from something that's theoretical to practical. And it's on its way to having a real impact. A new partnership between Microsoft's Azure Quantum and Honeywell offers another way for organizations across the globe to be introduced to quantum computing. The era of quantum computing is just beginning, and we are looking forward to bringing that capability to a broader audience, said Tony Utley, president of Honeywell Quantum Solutions. Computers traditionally use bits to process information. But quantum computing depends on bits that have properties of quantum physics, called qubits. Traditional computing bits are either 0 or 1, but qubits can be in both states at the same time, a quantum property called superposition. Another quantum property, called entanglement, allows for qubits to be quantum mechanically connected to other qubits in the system. As a result, quantum computers leverage entanglement and superposition to solve previously impossible computational problems. Quantum computers will disrupt current techniques and solve previously unapproachable problems, creating valuable solutions for industry. For example, pharmaceutical companies could accelerate the discovery of new drugs, materials companies could discover new molecular structures, finance companies could develop new trading strategies, transportation companies could optimize logistics, and companies relying on the output of the machine and deep learning could perform analyses that are impossible with classical computing of today, Tony said. Consider a few more industries that could benefit. Airlines seeking the optimal way to store spare parts at airports. Distribution centers wanting the best way to maneuver robotics around a warehouse. Oil and gas companies calculating how atoms and molecules can be configured to protect equipment from corrosion. Ideal answers to these problems across industries could be found through quantum computing. Quantum computing will enable industries to tackle problems they never would have attempted to solve before. And the quantum computing market is projected to grow strongly through the next decade, according to a Tractica market report. Wide access is important as quantum computing makes its way into solving mainstream business problems, Tony said. Microsoft's Azure Quantum Platform provides another path for making sure we reach a broad audience. Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about Artificial General Intelligence. Artificial General Intelligence, AGI, is the hypothetical intelligence of a machine that can understand or learn any intellectual task that a human being can. It is a primary goal of some artificial intelligence research and a common topic in science fiction and future studies. AGI can also be referred to as strong AI, full AI, or general intelligent action. Some academic sources reserve the term strong AI for machines that can experience consciousness. Today's AI is speculated to be decades away from AGI. In contrast to strong AI, weak AI, also called narrow AI or weak AI, is not intended to perform human cognitive abilities. Rather, weak AI is limited to the use of software to study or accomplish specific problem-solving or reasoning tasks. Various criteria for intelligence have been proposed, most famously the Turing test. But to date, there is no definition that satisfies everyone. However, there is wide agreement among artificial intelligence researchers that intelligence is required to do R. The reason, use strategy, solve puzzles, and make judgments under uncertainty. Represent knowledge, including common sense knowledge. Plan. Learn. Communicate in natural language. And integrate all these skills towards common goals. Other important capabilities include the ability to sense and the ability to act in a world where intelligent behavior is to be observed. This would include an ability to detect and respond to hazard. Many interdisciplinary approaches to intelligence tend to emphasize the need to consider additional traits such as imagination, taken as the ability to form mental images and concepts that were not programmed in, and autonomy. Computer-based systems that exhibit many of these capabilities do exist, but not yet at human levels. The term artificial general intelligence was used as early as 1997, by Mark Gubrud in a discussion of the implications of fully automated military production and operations. The term was reintroduced and popularized by Shane Legg and Ben Goertzel around 2002. The research objective is much older. For example, Doug Lennett's Psych project, that began in 1984, and Alan Newell's SOAR project are regarded as within the scope of AGI. AGI research activity in 2006 was described by Pei Wang and Ben Goertzel as producing publications and preliminary results. The first summer school in AGI was organized in Xiamen, China in 2009 by the Xiamen University's Artificial Brain Laboratory and OpenCog. The first university course was given in 2010 and 2011 at Plovdiv University, Bulgaria by Todor Arnaudov. MIT presented a course in AGI in 2018, organized by Lex Friedman and featuring a number of guest lecturers. However, as yet, most AI researchers have devoted little attention to AGI, with some claiming that intelligence is too complex to be completely replicated in the near term. However, a small number of computer scientists are active in AGI research, and many of this group are contributing to a series of AGI conferences. The research is extremely diverse and often pioneering in nature. In the introduction to his book, Goertzel says that estimates of the time needed before a truly flexible AGI are built vary from 10 years to over a century, but the consensus in the AGI research community seems to be that the timeline discussed by Ray Kurzweil in the Singularity is near, between 2015 and 2045, is plausible. In 2017, researchers Feng Liu, Yang Shi, and Ying Liu conducted intelligence tests on publicly available and freely accessible weak AI such as Google AI or Apple Siri and others. At the maximum, these AI reached an IQ value of about 47, which corresponds approximately to a 6-year-old child in first grade. An adult comes to about 100 on average. Similar tests had been carried out in 2014, with the IQ score reaching a maximum value of 27. In 2019, video game programmer and aerospace engineer John Carmack announced plans to research AGI. A popular discussed approach to achieving general intelligent action is whole brain emulation. A low-level brain model is built by scanning and mapping a biological brain in detail and copying its state into a computer system or another computational device. The computer runs a simulation model so faithful to the original that it will behave in essentially the same way as the original brain, or for all practical purposes, indistinguishably. Whole brain emulation is discussed in computational neuroscience and neuroinformatics, in the context of brain simulation for medical research purposes. It is discussed in artificial intelligence research as an approach to strong AI. Neuroimaging technologies that could deliver the necessary detailed understanding are improving rapidly, and Futuristic Kurzweil in the book The Singularity is near predicts that a map of sufficient quality will become available on a similar timescale to the required computing power. The rapid rate at which AI is developing new capabilities means that we might be getting close to the inflection point when the AI research community surprises us with the development of artificial general intelligence. And experts have predicted the development of artificial intelligence to be achieved as early as by 2030. Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about the brain-computer interface. A brain-computer interface, BCI, sometimes called a neural control interface, mind-machine interface, direct neural interface, or a brain-machine interface, is a direct communication pathway between an enhanced or wired brain and an external device. BCI differs from neuromodulation in that it allows for bidirectional information flow. BCIs are often directed at researching, mapping, assisting, augmenting, or repairing human cognitive or sensory motor functions. Research on BCIs began in the 1970s at the University of California, Los Angeles under a grant from the National Science Foundation, followed by a contract from DARPA. The papers published after this research also marked the first appearance of the expression brain-computer interface in the scientific literature. Several laboratories have managed to record signals from monkey and rat cerebral cortices to operate BCIs to move. Monkeys have navigated computer cursors on screen and commanded robotic arms to perform simple tasks simply by thinking about the task and seeing the visual feedback, but without any motor output. In May 2008, photographs that showed a monkey at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center operating a robotic arm by thinking were published in several well-known science journals and magazines. Neuralink, a neurotechnology firm co-founded by Elon in 2016, hopes to deliver on an even more grandiose pursuit. Alongside global warming and the possibility of human extinction, Musk is heavily concerned with another existential threat: the advancement of artificial intelligence. The specific objective of Neuralink is to develop ultra-high bandwidth brain-machine interfaces to connect humans and computers. Practically, this materializes as a chip that is implanted into the brain to achieve a sort of symbiosis with artificial intelligence that can significantly preserve and enhance our brains. While the company's current focus with the early versions of this implant is to understand and treat brain injuries and disorders, Musk believes this technology is an important step to ensuring a well-aligned future alongside artificial intelligence. With any AI scenario, we will be left behind. With a high bandwidth, brain-machine interface, we can go along for the ride. Our brains function through a large network of neurons communicating through neurotransmitters at the connection points known as synapses. These neurotransmitters are released in response to electrical spikes called action potentials. Everything that we perceive, feel, hear and think are essentially these neural spikes. By inserting minuscule electrodes threads, Neuralink can detect and record the action potentials and selectively stimulate neurons across diverse brain areas. These threads will be applied delicately by robots to minimize damage to the brain and attached to sensors that, in their preliminary form, will be wirelessly connected via Bluetooth to a mobile app for self-sufficient usage. Musk claims, humans are already partly cyborgs. With our mass dependency on our phones and personal computers, the only difference between the current state and one with AI symbiosis is that the data rate or communication speed between us and the electronics right now is extremely slow. By facilitating rapid information access and augmenting intellectual capacity, the Neuralink interface could enable users with substantial productivity growth, potentially by a factor of 10. The discussion also expanded to consider the possibility that this future technology could make verbal communication obsolete, giving a prospective timeline of 5 to 10 years. And Musk himself can't seem to help himself from teasing the brain-computer interface. When computer scientist Austin Howard asked Musk on Twitter if we could one day listen to music directly through such an interface, streaming it directly into the brain, in other words, with no headphones needed, Musk replied with a curt, yes. Imagine, you can download any language you wanted to learn directly into your brain. All the knowledge humanity has ever discovered, right into your brain. The possibilities are endless.
Hello world. I am Imagination. In this video, I'm going to talk about Neuralink. Neuralink Corporation is an American neurotechnology company founded by Elon Musk and others, developing implantable brain-machine interfaces. The company's headquarters are in San Francisco. It was started in 2016 and was first publicly reported in March 2017. According to Bloomberg, since its founding, the company has hired several high-profile neuroscientists from various universities. By July 2019, it had received $158 million in funding and was employing a staff of 90 employees. At that time, Neuralink announced that it was working on a sewing machine-like device capable of implanting very thin threads into the brain, and demonstrated a system that reads information from a lab rat via 1,500 electrodes, anticipating to start experiments with humans in 2020. Elon Musk is the most charismatic figure in technology with some amazing achievements to his name, from making electric cars desirable to developing rockets that can return to Earth and be reused. Neuralink is a hugely ambitious plan to link the human brain to a computer. It might eventually allow people with conditions such as Parkinson's disease to control their physical movements or manipulate machines via the power of thought. There are plenty of scientists already at work in this field. But Musk has far greater ambitions than most, talking of developing superhuman cognition, enhancing the human brain in part to combat the threat he sees from artificial intelligence. Musk defined the neural lace as a digital layer above the cortex that would not necessarily imply extensive surgical insertion but ideally an implant through a vein or artery. Musk explained that the long-term goal is to achieve symbiosis with artificial intelligence, which he perceives as an existential threat to humanity if it goes unchecked. As of 2017, some neuroprosthetics can interpret brain signals and allow disabled people to control their prosthetic arms and legs. Musk spoke of aiming to link the technology with implants that, instead of actuating movement, can interface at broadband speed with other types of external software and gadgets. By 2018, the company had remained highly secretive about its work since its launch, although public records showed that it had sought to open an animal testing facility in San Francisco. It subsequently started to carry out research at the University of California, Davis. Elon Musk discussing the Neuralink. In July 2019, Neuralink held a live-streamed presentation at the California Academy of Sciences. The proposed future technology involves a module placed outside the head that wirelessly receives information from thin flexible electrode threads embedded in the brain. The system could include as many as 3,072 electrodes per array distributed across 96 threads, each 4 to 6 micrometer in width. The threads would be embedded by a robotic apparatus, with the intention to avoid damaging blood vessels. Currently, electrodes are still too big to record the firing of individual neurons, so they can record only the firing of a group of neurons. Neuralink representatives believe this issue might get mitigated algorithmically, but it's computationally expensive and does not produce exact results. By August 2020, the Neuralink 1024 electrode read-write link device version 0.9 had been approved as a FDA breakthrough device, which allows it to be used in limited human testing under the FDA guidelines for testing medical devices. Friday night's demo involved a pig called Gertrude fitted with what the tech tycoon described as a Fitbit in your skull. A tiny device recorded the animal's neural activity and sent it wirelessly to a screen. A series of beeps happened every time her snout was touched, indicating activity in the part of her brain seeking out food. "I think this is incredibly profound," commented Musk. "The whole point of tech visionaries is that they think big." But without the academics of whom he has been critical, Musk's dream of enhancing the human brain with a digital interface is unlikely to be realized. And here's the irony: the stated aim of a demo with Gertrude the pig was to encourage scientists to come and join Neuralink. Those following him on Twitter may not be convinced it is worth coming along for the ride.
Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about technological singularity. The technological singularity, also, simply, the singularity, is a hypothetical point in time at which technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable changes to human civilization. According to the most popular version of the singularity hypothesis, called intelligence explosion, an upgradable intelligent agent will eventually enter a runaway reaction of self-improvement cycles, each new and more intelligent generation appearing more and more rapidly, causing an explosion in intelligence and resulting in a powerful superintelligence that qualitatively far surpasses all human intelligence. The first use of the concept of a singularity in the technological context was John von Neumann. Stanislaw Ulem reports a discussion with von Neumann centered on the accelerating progress of technology and changes in the mode of human life, which gives the appearance of approaching some essential singularity in the history of the race beyond which human affairs, as we know them, could not continue. 4 polls of AI researchers, conducted in 2012 and 2013 by Nick Bostrom and Vincent C. Mulla, suggested a median probability estimate of 50% that artificial general intelligence, AGI, would be developed by 2040 to 2050. Although technological progress has been accelerating, it has been limited by the basic intelligence of the human brain, which has not, according to Paul R. Ehrlich, changed significantly for millennia. However, with the increasing power of computers and other technologies, it might eventually be possible to build a machine that is significantly more intelligent than humans. If a superhuman intelligence were to be invented, either through the amplification of human intelligence or through artificial intelligence, it would bring to bear greater problem-solving and inventive skills than current humans are capable of. Such an AI is referred to as seed AI because if an AI were created with engineering capabilities that matched or surpassed those of its human creators, it would have the potential to autonomously improve its software and hardware or design an even more capable machine. This more capable machine could then go on to design a machine of yet greater capability. These iterations of recursive self-improvement could accelerate, potentially allowing enormous qualitative change before any upper limits imposed by the laws of physics or theoretical computation set in. It is speculated that over many iterations, such an AI would far surpass human cognitive abilities. An intelligence explosion is a possible outcome of humanity building artificial general intelligence. AGI would be capable of recursive self-improvement, leading to the rapid emergence of artificial superintelligence, the limits of which are unknown, shortly after technological singularity is achieved. Some writers use the singularity in a broader way to refer to any radical changes in our society brought about by new technologies such as molecular nanotechnology, although Vinci and other writers specifically state that without superintelligence, such changes would not qualify as a true singularity. A speed superintelligence describes an AI that can do everything that a human can do, where the only difference is that the machine runs faster. For example, with a million-fold increase in the speed of information processing relative to that of humans, a subjective year would pass in 30 physical seconds. Such a difference in information processing speed could drive the singularity. Both for human and artificial intelligence, hardware improvements increase the rate of future hardware improvements. Simply put, Moore's law suggests that if the first doubling of speed took 18 months, the second would take 18 subjective months, or 9 external months, whereafter, 4 months, 2 months, and so on towards a speed singularity. An upper limit on speed may eventually be reached, although it is unclear how high this would be. It is difficult to directly compare silicon-based hardware with neurons. But Burglas notes that computer speech recognition is approaching human capabilities. The exponential growth in computing technology suggested by Moore's law is commonly cited as a reason to expect a singularity in the relatively near future, and a number of authors have proposed generalizations of Moore's law. Computer scientist and futurist Hans Moravec proposed in a 1998 book that the exponential growth curve could be extended back through earlier computing technologies prior to the integrated circuit. Ray Kurzweil postulates a law of accelerating returns in which the speed of technological change, and more generally, all evolutionary processes, increases exponentially, generalizing Moore's law in the same manner as Moravec's proposal, and also including material technology, especially as applied to nanotechnology, medical technology and others. Kurzweil reserves the term singularity for a rapid increase in artificial intelligence, as opposed to other technologies, writing for example that the singularity will allow us to transcend these limitations of our biological bodies and brains. There will be no distinction, post-singularity, between human and machine. He also defines his predicted date of the singularity, 2045, in terms of when he expects computer-based intelligence to significantly exceed the sum total of human brainpower, writing that advances in computing before that date will not represent the singularity because they do not yet correspond to a profound expansion of our intelligence. In his 2005 book, The Singularity is Near, Kurzweil suggests that medical advances would allow people to protect their bodies from the effects of aging, making the life expectancy limitless. Kurzweil argues that the technological advances in medicine would allow us to continuously repair and replace defective components in our bodies, prolonging life to an undetermined age. Kurzweil further buttresses his argument by discussing current bioengineering advances. Kurzweil suggests somatic gene therapy. After synthetic viruses with specific genetic information, the next step would be to apply this technology to gene therapy, replacing human DNA with synthesized genes. Hello world. I'm Imagination. Today I am going to talk about self-driving cars. A self-driving car, also known as an autonomous vehicle, AV, connected and autonomous vehicle, CAV, driverless car, robocar, or a robotic car, is a vehicle that is capable of sensing its environment and moving safely with little or no human input. Self-driving cars combine a variety of sensors to perceive their surroundings, such as radar, LiDAR, sonar, GPS, odometry, and inertial measurement units. Advanced control systems interpret sensory information to identify appropriate navigation paths, as well as obstacles and relevant signage. What's the first major benefit of a self-driving car service? It may become much easier to find a parking spot. Actually, you might never need to think about parking a car in the first place. Your car will simply drop you off, and continue on its way to find another passenger. And it can continue to go all day until it needs a recharge. As of July 2019, experts believe it will be at least 10 to 12 more years before completely autonomous vehicles will be sold to private consumers. Self-driving cars are being developed for a few main reasons. Firstly, the goal is to remove the possibility of human error on the roads and improve safety. Driverless cars will also dramatically increase transportation efficiency because they do not need to be parked, they can constantly be in use by society. Tesla will be able to make its vehicles completely autonomous by the end of 2020, founder Elon Musk has said. It was already very close to achieving the basic requirements of this Level 5 autonomy, which requires no driver input, he said. Tesla's current, Level 2 autopilot requires the driver to remain alert and ready to act, with hands on the wheel. But a future software update could activate Level 5 autonomy in the cars, with no new hardware, he said. Chinese ride-hailing firm Didi Chuxing says it plans to operate more than 1 million self-driving vehicles by 2030. The robotaxis are to be deployed in places where ride-hailing drivers are less available, according to Meng Sing, Didi's chief operating officer. It is expensive to own and maintain a personal vehicle. Driverless cars come with the possibility of cheap and convenient transport. Ride services like Uber will probably own fleets of driverless cars, and without the option of human drivers to pay, the running costs of such a fleet would be ridiculously low. Self-driving electric cars running on renewable energy will cost almost nothing to operate. If you can summon them and get to your destination in just a few minutes, what would you need your own car for? Driverless cars can reduce harmful emissions by up to 60%. Furthermore, these cars can be programmed to maximize the potential reductions, which is amazing news for the environmentally conscious and anyone who wants to leave a minimum impact on Mother Earth. Today, cities are designed for cars. Roads and highways have taken over, and cities have become less and less pedestrian-friendly. The advent of driverless cars could bring a shift to this phenomenon, reverting city design back to being of and for the people. More precise, driverless cars mean narrower streets, with larger spaces for pedestrians. Fewer cars mean fewer traffic jams. Today's cars are not user-friendly for the elderly or disabled, or anyone else who may have difficulty getting around. Paratransit services with wheelchair accommodation, or even hospital bed accommodation, and cars with braille buttons will be normal. And the smart driverless car will know how to find the easiest place for its passengers to board or alight from, making their lives easier. Not having to drive means you can sit in your car and work on your way to the office. You can also choose to make the driverless car your office, driving around to clients, and having meetings on the go. The fact that we have driverless cars means that vans, trucks, and buses can also be driverless. These can be converted into actual offices or stores. You can have a business model where clients order up service and it drives to them. The need for a short commute to work is one of the main reasons why people live close to towns. If people do not need to drive to work, they would be more inclined to live further away and just relax on the commute to and from work, without the craziness of traffic jams.
Hello world. I am Imagination. In this video, I'm going to talk about million-mile batteries. Electric cars had their biggest year ever in 2019. As of the end of the year, 2.5% of the world's total cars were electric. It's a small percentage but represents significant growth for the electric vehicle industry. Before electric cars become more widespread, they have some technological hurdles left to clear, including the distance drivers can go before having to recharge the car's battery, also known as range anxiety, and the life of the battery itself. The range currently runs from around 100 miles on the low end up to 200 plus miles in newer models, and most warranties run out after 150,000 miles or 8 years. The latter figures are about to get a big boost after an announcement this week from Chinese company Contemporary Amperex Technology Co. Limited, CAT. The company says it has new battery technology that lasts up to 1.2 million miles, 2 million kilometers, and 16 years, and it's ready to manufacture the batteries on demand. CATL is the world's biggest manufacturer of electric vehicle batteries and currently supplies them to a multitude of car makers including Tesla, BMW, Toyota, Honda, and Volkswagen. Though sales of cars, like everything else, have slumped this year due to the coronavirus pandemic, CATL and its clients are counting on a demand spike in 2021. Once there's less uncertainty in the market and consumers feel more comfortable making big purchases, the pandemic may have a lasting effect throughout 2020, but won't be a major factor next year, said CATL chairman Zhang Yu. We have great confidence in the long run. Earth's circumference at the equator is about 24,901 miles. That means a 1.2 million mile battery could power a car for 50 trips around the world before it gave out. Phew, that's some serious mileage. Given that there's no car whose other components can come even close to lasting this long, CATL has already floated the idea that its new batteries could be used successively in multiple cars. CATL hasn't revealed details about the technology behind the extra long-lasting batteries, but it's likely they involve some of the measures described last year by a research team at Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia, Canada. The team was led by Jeff Dunn, a physicist and professor who partnered with Tesla to help the company advance its battery research. In a paper published in September in the Journal of the Electrochemical Society, the authors described a battery that Dunn said should be able to power an electric vehicle for over 1 million miles and last at least 2 decades in grid energy storage. It seems it will be instrumental in making Elon Musk's vision of a million-mile battery come true, and sooner rather than later. CATL will supply batteries to Tesla Model 3s made at the Gigafactory near Shanghai, conveniently close to Tesla's first European Gigafactory, which is under construction outside Berlin. CATL is building a factory in Erfurt, Germany that's slated to start making batteries in 2021. Last year Bloomberg Neff predicted electric cars would be cheaper than gas cars by 2022, largely thanks to the dropping cost of batteries. Though the coronavirus pandemic threw a wrench into manufacturing, and into predictions of all types, CATL's million-mile battery points to progress pressing on. While million-mile batteries might seem to suggest that we'll need fewer batteries, and thus fewer raw materials, overall, it's also possible they could increase battery demand since often when we make improvements in efficiency, we just end up consuming more. But this is one case where that may be a good thing for the planet. If those batteries are displacing higher carbon energy stores like gasoline, this may just accelerate our transition to decarbonization.
Hello world. I'm Imagination. In this video, I'm going to talk about autonomous construction. Automation is the creation and application of technologies to produce and deliver goods and services with minimal human intervention. The implementation of automation technologies, techniques, and processes improves the efficiency, reliability, and speed of many tasks that were previously performed by humans. Moving earth and building roads with autonomous construction equipment is where the industry is headed. For many contractors, driverless construction equipment might instill worries about lost jobs or job site accidents. But Cameron Clark, who is leading Trimble's efforts to bring autonomy to civil construction, wants to alleviate those fears. He believes autonomous machines represent a big opportunity. For years, earth-moving manufacturers have been adding automation to machines. According to Clark, Earthworks business area manager for Trimble, there are more than 100,000 machines equipped with machine control today. A dozer with machine control would qualify as Grade 1 automation, using the SAE levels of driving automation, where 0 equals no automation and 5 equals full autonomy. We are already on the path of automation, says Clark. We have gone from people on site putting stakes in the ground to 3D machine control, where you can remove the stakes and control the blade automatically to keep grade. While semi-autonomous machines improve productivity, they still rely on the intelligence of a skilled operator. Clark says that with the technology we have today, experienced operators run 41% faster and 75% more accurate, while new operators run 28% faster and 100% more accurate. As steering and other machine tasks become more automated, contractors can expect to see greater efficiencies. He expects compactors, dozers, and excavators to be key categories of autonomous equipment. Around the world, construction companies are facing a shortage of heavy equipment operators. Clark sees this, along with increased global infrastructure spending, as the key driver for autonomous construction equipment. It's hard to do the work we have now, says Clark. With growing infrastructure and energy needs, there is going to be increased demand for workers in developing nations. If we can't find people in developed nations, what are we going to do in developing nations? He believes autonomous construction equipment will be part of the solution, especially in remote areas, for repetitive tasks, and in locations where labor shortages are significant. According to Clark, an autonomous solution is more than just a solution for a single machine. The autonomous machine has to work with all the machines, other assets, and people on the job site. Contractors want to make sure they have an ecosystem solution, says Clark. One of the areas where Trimble will focus is on the interaction between one machine with one another. For example, imagine two compactors working with a dozer, where automation tells the compactor exactly where to go next on the job site. It's about fleet management, says Clark. Determining what machines are needed, providing improvements in planning and bidding, and helping operators make real-time decisions. Clark believes it would benefit human operators if automated machines took on more mundane tasks, while operators handled value-added jobs. More automation might also help reduce fatigue and stress on human operators, resulting in improved safety. Instead of traveling away from home for weeks at a time, an operator might transition to a different role in managing equipment remotely. No one is predicting a job site without people in the near future. Clark says there's more complexity with a construction site than with cars and trucks that just need to get from point A to point B. The process will take time, but autonomous machines clearly have a role to play. Alleviate your fears and learn what this trend really means for your business. World Economic Forum says machines will create 58 million new jobs. One thing is clear, automation is only increasing and being employed by more businesses within various industries across the world, thanks to its numerous benefits. We're excited to see how automation is going to further increase businesses' capabilities and what new businesses, software, and products could be on this planet in the near future. Hello world. I'm Imagination. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3D printed buildings. 3D printing is making strides in the construction industry. In just a couple of years, we've seen the tech produce single-family homes in a day, entire communities of homes for people in need, large municipal buildings, and even an egg-shaped concept home for Mars. Another impressive feat will soon be added to this list, as a German construction company has begun work on a 3D printed 3-story apartment building. Located northwest of Munich in a town called Wallenhausen, when completed the building will have 5 separate apartments and total square footage of 4,090. The project is a collaboration between Piri Group, a German supplier of formwork and scaffolding systems, and Cobod, a Danish company that makes modular 3D printers for construction. The printer is used for the apartment building is called the BOD2. It's the second iteration of the company's original printer, called the BOD, which was used to print a small freestanding office building in Copenhagen near one of the city's harbors. BOD2 is a gantry-style printer that moves between 3 axes on a metal frame. The material being used for construction has been dubbed iTech 3D. It's a cement mixture developed specifically for use in 3D printing by German multinational building materials company Heidelbergsmann. BOD2 doesn't do its thing at the push of a button, it needs 2 human operators to run it, and also has cameras that constantly monitor its activity. Cobol claims the BOD2 is the fastest 3D construction printer on the market, laying down 1 meter's worth of material per second and leaving space for plumbing and electrical pipes in the process. There is at least one 3D printed apartment building already in existence. A 6-story building in Shanghai was unveiled in 2015 by Winson Decoration Design Engineering Company. An important difference between that building and the German one is that the walls of the Shanghai building were printed off-site, then assembled at the building location, whereas for the Wallenhausen building, the printer will lay down its cement mix on-site, with no subsequent moving or assembly required. Unlike many other recent 3D printing construction projects, the apartment building isn't a proof of concept or a demo, it's a for-profit endeavor, and the apartments will be rented at market rates as soon as they're completed. We are very confident that 3D construction printing will become increasingly important in certain market segments over the coming years and has considerable potential, said Thomas Imbeker, Piri's Director of Innovation and Marketing. By printing the first apartment building on site, we are demonstrating that this new technology can also be used to print large-scale dwelling units. Bringing 3D printing into the mainstream of the construction industry is a worthwhile goal because the technology saves on all kinds of costs while still yielding safe, durable structures. It's also much faster than traditional construction methods, making it a prime tool for situations like disaster relief, where dwellings need to go up quickly and cheaply. The printing process for the apartment building is expected to take 6 weeks. If its creator's vision plays out, it will be just the first of many such buildings in Germany and elsewhere. In just a few short years, living in a 3D printed apartment may be so common that it won't even earn you any bragging rights. 3D printing will make the construction process much easier. First and foremost, 3D printing will help reduce the wasting of materials in multiple different ways. When taking on a 3D printed construction project, you use the exact amount of materials needed rather than using traditional methods like ordering in bulk. Even more so, construction materials can be more easily recycled and used again for another project. Less manpower is required for a project, cutting down on employee costs. Basically, due to the reduction of injuries, time, and material costs, companies will see a dramatic increase in their profits. Another obvious implication of additive manufacturing in construction is in the construction of homes. There are multiple startups around the world who are using the power of 3D printing to construct livable homes in 24 hours or less. Global leader Winson 3D has even developed a method for creating 3D printed homes using recycled materials. These 3D printed homes are durable and are occasionally movable, making it possible for those who want to move their home to their next location. Cheaper costs and quicker construction times open the doors to more homes for more people, including the homeless. There is no better example of this than in the New Story, Icon collaborative project down in rural Mexico. New Story, the nonprofit leading the project, has a simple mission using the new power of the 3D printing construction process to offer affordable housing to lower-income families and people living in horrible environments. Using a massive 33-foot-long 3D printer, the collaborative team has constructed an entire neighborhood of 3D printed homes. Each home takes less than 24 hours to make and is 500 square feet, complete with finished roofs, windows, and interiors. 3D printing homes will become even more common in the near future, offering people of all classes the opportunity to own a home. Companies like Hosm have created 3D printed homes that look like something fresh out of a futuristic IKEA catalog. These stunning homes allow residents to completely live off the grid in their own sustainable home. Would you ever live in a 3D printed home? 3D printing in the world of construction is still in its early stages, yet the industry itself is evolving at a rapid pace. Yet there are still a few hurdles we need to get over before we can go about printing entire towns, and maybe even cities. One of the biggest limitations is that construction printers tend to use only one material at a time. This is why multiple printers or other manpower may be required off-site to complete a project. Even more so, the construction industry has yet to find a commercially viable way to print massive city-level structures, as you would need to create a massive 3D printer. Nevertheless, the world of 3D printing construction is exciting. In the next 5 years, you could be living in your own 3D printed structure. Hello world. I'm Imagination. In this video, I'm going to talk about how Toyota is building a futuristic prototype city powered by hydrogen. Most of the focus for making self-driving cars a widespread reality is on the cars themselves, specifically on the technology they require to safely perceive and interact with the world around them. Sensors, cameras, lidar, and the like, all sitting on software platforms that integrate AI and machine learning. But what if it's not all about the cars? Maybe it's equally important to get cities ready to adapt to a driverless future. That's what the world's biggest car maker is betting on, anyway. South of Tokyo at the base of Mount Fuji, Toyota is spearheading a project it calls Woven City. Plans for the futuristic prototype city were unveiled at CES in 2020, and construction began this past February. This week Toyota announced it's partnering with Japanese petroleum company Ineos to build a hydrogen fuel cell system that will be the city's source of power. Woven City's green power sources are just one piece of the futuristic puzzle that the prototype will put together. The city's smart homes will reportedly be able to automatically take out residents' trash and restock their refrigerators using grocery shopping robots, and sensor-based AI will even monitor residents' health. Whether people will welcome this sort of service or see it as an invasion of privacy remains to be determined. Woven City residents will include Toyota employees and their families, retirees, and scientists, among others. More than 3,000 people have already applied, and the company plans to launch the city with 2,000 residents at first, then add to that over time. Building a complete city from the ground up, even on a small scale like this, is a unique opportunity to develop future technologies, including a digital operating system for the city's infrastructure. With people, buildings and vehicles all connected and communicating with each other through data and sensors, we will be able to test connected AI technology in both the virtual and the physical realms, maximizing its potential, said Akio Toyoda, president of Toyota Motor Corporation, in a press release. Watching how Toyota's Woven City experiment unfolds could be a telling lens into the future.
Hello world, I'm Imagination. Today I'm going to talk about nuclear power. Nuclear power is the use of nuclear reactions that release nuclear energy to generate heat, which most frequently is then used in steam turbines to produce electricity in a nuclear power plant. Nuclear power can be obtained from nuclear fission, nuclear decay, and nuclear fusion reactions. Presently, the vast majority of electricity from nuclear power is produced by nuclear fission of uranium and plutonium. Nuclear decay processes are used in niche applications such as radioisotope thermoelectric generators. Civilian nuclear power supplied 2,563 terawatt-hours of electricity in 2018, equivalent to about 10% of global electricity generation, and was the second largest low-carbon power source after hydroelectricity. As of December 2019, there are 443 civilian fission reactors in the world, with a combined electrical capacity of 395 gigawatts. There are also 56 nuclear power reactors under construction and 109 reactors planned, with a combined capacity of 60 gigawatts and 120 gigawatts, respectively. The United States has the largest fleet of nuclear reactors, generating over 800 TWh zero emissions electricity per year with an average capacity factor of 92%. Most reactors under construction are Generation 3 reactors in Asia. Nuclear power has one of the lowest levels of fatalities per unit of energy generated compared to other energy sources. Coal, petroleum, natural gas, and hydroelectricity each have caused more fatalities per unit of energy due to air pollution and accidents. Since its commercialization in the 1970s, nuclear power has prevented about 1.84 million air pollution-related deaths and the emission of about 64 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent that would have otherwise resulted from the burning of fossil fuels. There is a debate about nuclear power. Proponents, such as the World Nuclear Association and environmentalists for nuclear energy, contend that nuclear power is a safe, sustainable energy source that reduces carbon emissions. Zero-emission nuclear power is an important part of the climate change mitigation effort. Under i.e. a sustainable development scenario by 2030, nuclear power and KISS would have generated 3,900 TWh globally, while wind and solar 8,100 TWh, with the ambition to achieve net zero CO2 emissions by 2070. In order to achieve this goal, on average, 15 GW of nuclear power should have been added annually on average. As of 2019, over 60 gigawatts in new nuclear power plants was in construction, mostly in China, Russia, Korea, India, and UAE. Many countries in the world are considering small modular reactors, with one in Russia connected to the grid in 2020. Countries with the nuclear power plants in the planning phase include Argentina, Brazil, Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Egypt, Finland, Hungary, India, Kazakhstan, Poland, Saudi Arabia, and Uzbekistan. The future of nuclear power varies greatly between countries, depending on government policies. Some countries, most notably Germany, have adopted policies of nuclear power phase out. At the same time, some Asian countries, such as China and India, have committed to the rapid expansion of nuclear power. In other countries, such as the United Kingdom and the United States, nuclear power is planned to be part of the energy mix together with renewable energy. Just as many conventional thermal power stations generate electricity by harnessing the thermal energy released from burning fossil fuels, nuclear power plants convert the energy released from the nucleus of an atom via nuclear fission that takes place in a nuclear reactor. When a neutron hits the nucleus of a uranium-235 or plutonium atom, it can split the nucleus into two smaller nuclei. The reaction is called nuclear fission. The fission reaction releases energy and neutrons. The released neutrons can hit other uranium or plutonium nuclei, causing new fission reactions, which release more energy and more neutrons. This is called a chain reaction. The reaction rate is controlled by control rods that absorb excess neutrons. The controllability of nuclear reactors depends on the fact that a small fraction of neutrons resulting from fission is delayed. The time delay between the fission and the release of the neutrons slows down changes in reaction rates and gives time for moving the control rods to adjust the reaction rate. A fission nuclear power plant is generally composed of a nuclear reactor, in which the nuclear reactions generating heat takes place, a cooling system, which removes the heat from inside the reactor, a steam turbine, which transforms the heat in mechanical energy, an electric generator, which transforms the mechanical energy into electrical energy. Nuclear is a zero-emission clean energy source. It generates power through fission, which is the process of splitting uranium atoms to produce energy. The heat released by fission is used to create steam that spins a turbine to generate electricity without the harmful byproducts emitted by fossil fuels. According to the Nuclear Energy Institute, NE, The United States avoided more than 476 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions in 2019. That's the equivalent of removing 100 million cars from the road and more than all other clean energy sources combined. It also keeps the air clean by removing thousands of tons of harmful air pollutants each year that contribute to acid rain, smog, lung cancer, and cardiovascular disease. Nuclear fuel is extremely dense. It's about 1 million times greater than that of other traditional energy sources, and because of this, the amount of used nuclear fuel is not as big as you might think. All of the used nuclear fuel produced by the U.S. nuclear energy industry over the last 60 years could fit on a football field at a depth of fewer than 10 yards. That waste can also be reprocessed and recycled, although the United States does not currently do this. However, some advanced reactors designs being developed could operate on used fuel. The NICE Future Initiative is a global effort under the Clean Energy Ministerial that makes sure nuclear will be considered in developing the advanced clean energy systems of the future. Hello world. I am Imagination. In this video, I am going to talk about fusion power. Fusion power is a proposed form of power generation that would generate electricity by using heat from nuclear fusion reactions. In a fusion process, two lighter atomic nuclei combine to form a heavier nucleus, while releasing energy. Devices designed to harness this energy are known as fusion reactors. Fusion processes require fuel in a confined environment with sufficient temperature, pressure, and confinement time to create a plasma in which fusion can occur. The combination of these figures that results in a power-producing system is known as the Lawson criterion. In stars, the most common fuel is hydrogen, and gravity provides extremely long confinement times that reach the conditions needed for fusion energy production. Proposed fusion reactors generally use hydrogen isotopes such as deuterium and tritium, which react more easily than hydrogen to allow them to reach the Lawson criterion requirements with less extreme conditions. Most designs aim to heat their fuel to tens of millions of degrees, which presents a major challenge in producing a successful design. As a source of power, nuclear fusion is expected to have several advantages over fission. These include reduced radioactivity in operation and little high-level nuclear waste, ample fuel supplies, and increased safety. For centuries, humans have dreamed of harnessing the power of the sun to energize our lives here on Earth. But we want to go beyond collecting solar energy, and one day generate our own from a mini-sun. If we're able to solve an extremely complex set of scientific and engineering problems, fusion energy promises a green, safe, unlimited source of energy. From just 1 kilogram of deuterium extracted from water per day could come enough electricity to power hundreds of thousands of homes. Since the 1950s, scientific and engineering research has generated enormous progress toward forcing hydrogen atoms to fuse together in a self-sustaining reaction, as well as a small but demonstrable amount of fusion energy. Skeptics and proponents alike note the two most important remaining challenges: maintaining the reactions over long periods of time and devising a material structure to harness the fusion power for electricity. Unlike other forms of electrical generation, such as solar, natural gas, and nuclear fission, fusion cannot be developed in miniature and then be simply scaled up. The experimental steps are large and take time to build. But the problem of abundant, clean energy will be a major calling for humankind for the next century and beyond. It would be foolhardy not to exploit fully this most promising energy source. Fusion power is clean. It emits no greenhouse gases and produces only helium and a neutron. It is safe. There is no possibility for a runaway reaction, like a nuclear fission meltdown. Rather, if there is any malfunction, the plasma cools, and the fusion reactions cease. All these attributes have motivated research for decades, and have become even more attractive over time. Engineers started construction of the world's largest nuclear fusion project in southern France, The Guardian reports, with operations planned to begin in late 2025. The project, called ITER, is an international collaborative effort between 35 countries with enormous ambitions. Prove the feasibility of fusion energy with a gigantic magnetic device called a tokamak, as per the project's official website. Enabling the exclusive use of clean energy will be a miracle for our planet, ITER Director General Bernard Bigot said, as quoted by The Guardian. ITER may be a massive international effort to make fusion energy a reality, but it's not the only one. A large number of fusion startups in the US and abroad are trying to turn it into a commercially viable source of energy as well. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.
Hello world. I'm Imagination. In this video, I'm going to talk about the future. What will the future look, smell, sound, taste, and feel like? And why on Earth and other planets are those questions relevant, especially given the havoc going on in the world, right here and now? Simply put, because those future sensory experiences will be the ultimate test of whether we made it through this difficult era. As long as we're embodied beings, processing the world through our senses, there will be no holier grail than making sure that what those senses register is pleasurable. Essentially, whether existing in our world is painful or lovely can be understood in aesthetic terms. As such, it's worth noting that the beginning of this decade has more of a cyberpunk aesthetic than we'd like. The streets of Blade Runner and Hong Kong have become more indistinguishable than ever. The disturbingly wealthy have launched rockets over streets filled with people in cloth masks, raising their fists and demanding justice, while SWAT teams dispense surveillance drones and tear gas. Smoke is turning the sun red as historic wildfires rage. Powerful storms lash buildings and flood cities. Elon Musk did our era no visual favor by introducing a truck whose design suggests cool and Kevlar are becoming one of style, perhaps best described as apocalypse flair. Iconic game creator Mike Pondsmith is often credited with the creation of the cyberpunk aesthetic. In 2020, so many people started calling out the idea his work is coming to life that he issued a statement reminding people that his aesthetic had been a warning, not something to aspire to. Indeed, a lot of serious science fiction work aims to scare us away from less than palatable trajectories we might be considering or have already embarked on. On Sci-Fi Agenda, a comprehensive curation of science fiction movies with visionary ambitions, not a single film imagines a world with more beauty than we have now or have already left behind. This, one could argue, is because doomsday scenarios are easier to paint than realistic utopias. But as 2020 began appearing more and more like the sixth season of Black Mirror, the creator of the iconic series, Charlie Brooker, said he was taking a break from his fictional dystopias. The need for psychological ease, for soothing images of impending solace, and, better yet, something concrete to believe in and strive towards. Well, that need is acute. Enter an aesthetic and ideological movement known as Solarpunk. Solarpunk is gorgeous by most measures and serves as an umbrella term for an aesthetic and ideology that emphasizes biomimicry, greenery, and mind-blowing architectonic structures built to enable sustainability and self-sufficiency. It's a high-tech art nouveau, if you will. It's not the hippie dream of people spending their brief lifetime on laborious agriculture. It's a high-tech and automated farming. It's not back to nature, but forward into an upgraded, engineered take on the natural. The word solarpunk got its start on the blog Republic of the Bees in 2008, but true to its principles, this is not a centralized movement. These are the gardens by the bay in Singapore, the Golden Bridge in Vietnam, a number of the mind-blowing structures mad architects have on their roster, and they still only blueprinted Hyperion skyscraper gardens that arose from the mind of Vincent Caillebotte. In terms of fiction, Kim Stanley Robinson's 2312 and Mars trilogy along with Octavia E. Butler's Parable of the Sower have all been claimed as being in line with solarpunk. And as for movies, there is of course a famous example, The Vision of Wakanda, presented in Black Panther. The overlap between solarpunk and Afrofuturism, a movement brilliantly summarized in the work of Natasha Womack, is significant. The process of decolonizing one's imagination is the first step to envisioning a future where pleasures are more evenly distributed than was the case in our past. This vision is made more compelling by the solarpunk movement's continuous call to immediate action. To materialize the imagined, and to do so now. With solarpunk's emphasis on peer-to-peer, turning what you desire into reality is not about waiting for an authority to deliver, but to take it upon yourself to organize and manifest. The solarpunk credo is to grow the new world in the soil exposed by the whitening cracks of the old world. And that is as literal as it is metaphorical. Seed swaps and projects like open source ecology encourage people to grow, build, and print the world they want to see around them. Projects like Regen Villages, the so-called Tesla of eco-villages now partnering with municipalities on 4 continents. Or the legally innovating Schoenship community built on water in the Netherlands, and the plethora of intentional communities listed on Numundo. The job of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible. A powerful way to combat destructive behaviors of any kind is to construct a sound image of where you'd like to be at some point in the future. Explore what it will sound, look, taste, and feel like to live your future life, to be your future self. And then assess each temptation you face with this image in mind. Weigh whether it will move you closer or further away from that future. Seduce yourself, appropriate your longing for a better, more pleasurable, more spectacular future. The movement is a call to action for studios to make movies, for artists to paint pictures, and for anyone with access to the means of creation and communication to participate in the most pragmatic form of dreaming. Solarpunk just might be the cultural movement we deserve amid our ongoing trials and tribulations. It's the one we need to make the rest of this decade a palatable, even euphoric experience. Sometimes, demanding to thrive is the very best way to survive. It is the necessity and audacity not only of hope, but of beauty. That's all for today.